Hey there YouTube, Wrestling Optimus here, back with another action figure review. It's Wednesday night, and you know what that means, time for AEW Dynamite on TNT. More importantly, it's homecoming as Dynamite returns to the friendly confines of Daly's Place. On paper, the card isn't nearly as stacked as previous weeks, but AEW has all the momentum right now, with the launch of Rampage on Friday nights, All Out on the horizon, and the potential signings of CM Punk, Daniel Bryan, Bray Wyatt, Adam Cole, and Ric Flair. So who cares if this winds up being a filler show? Anyway, if you're new here, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more pro wrestling and action figure content. Now, we're headed into my custom Daly's Place, so for a recap and review, let's take it over to the action figures. Dynamite opens with Juventud Guerrera vs Chris Jericho in the third of his 5 labors. These two go way back, with Jericho famously unmasking Juvi in WCW. Now the Juice is considered one of the greatest high flyers in Lucha Libre history. Speaking of high flying, the only way for Jericho to win is by hitting a move off the top rope, a stipulation added by MJF, who joins commentary once again, much to the chagrin of JR and the other announcers. Strangely, after trying to rip off Juvi's mask, Jericho reverses a Hurricane Rana into the walls. He can't win by submission, but the ref acts like this is valid. Only after Jericho hits a Judas effect and goes to make the cover does ref Aubrey finally acknowledge the stipulation. Eventually, Jericho hits a badass Judas effect off the top rope and Aubrey counts the 1-2-3. A fun but head-scratching start to the show. Afterwards, Wardlow comes out and destroys both men as MJF sarcastically apologizes for ruining the moment. Then, he announces that Jericho's 4th labor will be against Wardlow, and it's implied that MJF will serve as a special guest referee. Similar to last week, Death Triangle is now missing Pac, and once again it's implied that Andrade screwed with the Bastards' travel plans. Right on cue, El Idolo appears and says the Lucha Bros should thank him for the limo. Chavo Guerrero clarifies that he tried hard to get Penta and Phoenix to Dynamite last week. Besides, if they join Andrade, they can have luxury accommodations like that all the time. Phoenix reiterates that they don't work for anyone, while Penta, through Justin Roberts, also declines. Later in the night, Andrade tricks and then beats up Fuego del Sol to send a message to the Lucha Brothers. Backstage, the Dark Order are disappointed that they lost their tag team title shot when Hangman Page walks in to grab his beer. When confronted, he predictably blames himself for losing them their opportunity. Even worse, he insists that he has to take care of this by himself. Reluctantly, they agree to give him space. This was really sad, but with the release of Bray Wyatt, this would be the perfect way to give Dark Order a new leader and honor the legacy of Mr. Brody Lee. Daniel Garcia and 2.0, the former Ever-Rise in NXT, take on the unlikely team of Darby Allin, Jon Moxley, and Eddie Kingston in trios action. These guys are the quintessential jobbers, but they embrace it, which leads to a really fun match. Mox throws Garcia over some barricades, Jeff Parker has a run-in with Sting, and Matt Lee gets taken out by a flying Darby Allin. In the end, all the babyfaces hit their signature moves for the win. Brian Cage says that the only thing Taz ever did was cost him a world title shot, and the consolation prize was a fake championship. In fact, he never even wanted to be in Team Taz.
But I don't want your life.
In a basketball-themed promo, Anderson and Gallows, who's sporting a Ric Flair-inspired robe, decide to give Dark Order a shot at their Impact Tag Team titles. Nick Jackson asks who's left in AEW to challenge the Young Bucks, while Matt Jackson says the Elite have proven to be the most dominant group of champions in wrestling history. Finally, Kenny says Hangman choked yet again. The undefeated Christian Cage takes on the Blade next. This furthers his feud with the HFO, and a win earns him a shot at the world title. When the Bunny tries to interfere, she's taken out by legit Layla Hirsch. More on that later. Then, after distracting the ref, the Blade grabs his brass knuckles, but gets hit with a spear when he turns around, making Christian Cage your new #1 contender. Later on, Cage offers to return the favor by helping Layla in her match tonight, but she already has some best friends watching her back. Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, joins Tony Schiavone in the ring when they're interrupted by Red Velvet. She demands a shot at the Women's Championship, which the Doctor accepts. Hangman tries to clarify his comments from earlier when the Elite arrive. Kenny accuses Paige of trying to rejoin the group, but says they don't have room for failures. Hangman slaps Omega for that remark, but quickly gets beaten down. The Dark Order run out, but they're held back by Evil Uno and Stu Grayson, who insist on respecting the Cowboys' wishes. Paige takes a magic killer and 3 BTE triggers before Frankie Kazarian unsuccessfully attempts to make the save. Eventually, Kenny nails Hangman with his title belt and the Elite stand tall. God's favorite champion, the Redeemer Miro, defends his TNT title against Lee Johnson, accompanied by Dustin Rhodes. This goes for longer than I expected, and Big Shotty gets in some decent hope spots, but only because Miro allows it. In the end, Johnson gets choked out, and Miro remains undefeated. So, a Domino's Pizza ad played during the Chris Jericho vs. Nick Cage death match right as they were using the pizza cutter. There's been conflicting reports as to whether or not Domino's tried to pull their sponsorship. However, Pabst Blue Ribbon decided to jump at this opportunity for some free publicity. They begged AEW to fill the spot, and apparently their pleas were heard because we got one of the greatest commercials of all time. Starring the entire Major Wrestling Figure podcast crew, they turn a boring afternoon by the pool into a rockin' party, all with the help of Matt's fiancée Chelsea Green and a PBR-filled Super Soaker. I don't even drink and I want a beer after that. By the way, they're all Impact talent, and somehow they snuck onto AEW TV. I see what you guys did there. The Hardy family office joins the Bunny while the Best Friends join Layla Hirsch in a #1 contenders match for the NWA Women's Championship. The current champion, Camille, is ringside and at one point gets in the Bunny's face. However, it's Layla who sinks in the armbar and earns a shot at the title. Afterwards, Camille gets in the ring and absolutely towers over Hirsch. It reminded me of this famous internet meme, and now I'm actually somewhat intrigued by the matchup. Malakai Black debuts in the main event, a far cry from his position in WWE, against the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes. He comes out in near complete darkness, wearing a creepy robe and deer antlers. Trust me, it's a lot cooler than it sounds. Cody is joined by Dustin, and for once has the more understated entrance of the two. Black's Muay Thai style quickly and easily overwhelms Cody's amateur wrestling. Then, Malakai sends him flying through the timekeeper's table. Even though Cody's able to beat the 10 count, it only takes one spinning heel kick from Black to pick up the shock victory. That should silence all the haters who think all Cody does is bury other talent. Tony Schiavone brings Cody a mic and a crutch, which he refuses. Cody struggles to his feet and cuts an incredibly heartfelt, albeit long, promo. He tells his story from WWE to the founding of AEW, his history with the Elite, and rechristens Daly's place as the AEW Amphitheater. Then, Cody thanks the fans, and in a traditional gesture, he begins shockingly removing his boots to leave in the ring as a symbol of his retirement from wrestling. When suddenly, Cody's laid out from behind by Malakai using the same crutch that he had just refused. Black picks up Cody's boot and stares at it as the show goes off the air.
What a twist!
Sure, that wasn't the best episode of Dynamite. In fact, it was downright middle of the road, especially in comparison to recent specials. But that's okay. We still got a fun title match out of Miro, a great nostalgia trip with Juventud Guerrera, some great storytelling by the Elite, Hangman Page, and Dark Order, and the awesome in-ring debut of Malakai Black, possibly retiring Cody Rhodes. Now we build towards All Out and all those juicy rumored signings that should help AEW get to the next level. Alright, that'll do it for AEW Dynamite on TNT. Thanks so much for watching. Let me know what you thought in the comments down below. I got a bunch of new figures recently, so look out for an unboxing video, hopefully this weekend. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to do all that normal YouTube stuff. Smash the like button, share with any wrestling or action figure fans you may know, subscribe to the channel, and spread the word. You can also talk to me over on Twitter, @WrestlingOptimus, or see all my best figure photography over on Instagram at WrestlingOptimus. If you haven't seen my review of Fight for the Fallen, you can check that out right here. But until next time, I've been Wrestling Optimus, and I'll catch you later.